Moments ago, Catherine revealed the name of their fourth child, and Prince William broke down in tears. The cameras captured everything. This wasn't just a baby announcement, it was raw, emotional, and deeply personal. Of what name moved the future king to tears, and what legacy did it quietly bring back? The hidden announcement. 4 weeks the whispers wouldn't stop. Was Catherine, Princess of Wales, expecting again? Was there really a fourth royal baby coming quietly into the world without the traditional fanfare? Rumors swirled across London and beyond. One tabloid hinted at secret movement inside Kensington Palace. Another claimed that Prince George had been overheard talking about a new baby sister. No confirmations, no denials, just silence. Then suddenly everything changed. Reports surfaced on Yahoo News. Royal family prepares for special statement. Prince William and Catherine expected to make personal appearance. That was all it took. Social media ignited. The press camped outside palace gates. The royal watchers knew what was coming, but not how it would come. Inside Kensington Palace, tension quietly rose. Aides avoided eye contact. The red folders were back. Catherine, always graceful and prepared, was seen reviewing handwritten notes, but still no word, no press alert, no official comment. Even royal insiders were caught off guard. Then out of nowhere, a Facebook live stream began on the official royal channel. No announcement, no build-up, just Catherine standing alone in a soft cream coat, cradling a sleeping newborn in her arms. The camera zoomed in. No stage. Fancy setting, just the Princess of Wales and the child the world hadn't even seen yet. And in a steady, clear voice she said, "It was so proud to share that our daughter's name is..." But before she could finish the sentence, the camera panned, and Prince William, standing just beside her, quietly broke down. His shoulders dropped, his eyes filled. Instantly one tear escaped, then another. There were no speeches, no formal protocols. Just a father overcome by the weight of it all, the years, the pressure, the grief, the joy, and now a daughter whose name carried it all. The public had waited months for this moment, but no one expected the heir to the throne to cry. And from that point forward, nothing about this reveal felt ordinary. William's emotional breakdown. For most of his life, Prince William has mastered the art of composure. Every camera flash, every handshake, every public wave measured, practice, precise. He was trained from childhood to be still when the world stared, to never flinch, to absorb pressure and silence. For over 4 decades he did exactly that, until now. As Catherine stood before the world, cradling their newborn daughter in a blanket of ivory lace, William stood just to her right, hands gently clasped, lips pressed in a faint smile. For a moment he looked every bit the royal he was raised to be. But then his face changed. Just seconds before Catherine spoke the name, his eyes began to shine. He blinked, then blinked again. His chin tightened, but the wave had already hit. A tear slipped down his cheek, not dramatic, not exaggerated, just a quiet collapse of walls that had held from for years. "I didn't expect to feel this," he whispered later to a close friend. "It just came out." And that was the truth. The name she was about to say, he already knew it. They'd chosen it together. He had whispered it aloud in the nursery, practiced it to see how it sounded next to the others. But hearing had spoken publicly. Before the cameras, the crowds, the nation. It unlocked something buried, a name tied not just to the future, but to his past, a name filled with echoes of his mother, of memories too painful and too precious to separate, a name that meant love, loss, hope, and healing, all at once. The moment Catherine said the words, his face softened, then broke. The cameras caught everything, and for once the world didn't look away. Those few tears, barely visible to some, said more than 1,000 royal speeches ever could. They showed a man raised behind palace gates, shaped by duty, wounded by tragedy, suddenly standing fully human in front of millions. This wasn't staged, this wasn't PR choreography, this was real, wrong, and deeply human in that single heartbeat. William wasn't just the heir to the throne. He was a father or husband, a son still carrying the weight of a goodbye he never got to finish, a man trying to be strong for his family, for his country, but no longer willing to hide the cost of that strength. And that's why the world responded like it did. Across media channels, the footage went instantly viral. Millions watched it on repeat. Viewers wiped their own eyes. The headlines arrived just minutes later. Prince William in tears as Catherine reveals baby name. Future king shows rare emotion in royal milestone. The name that moved William to tears. On social media, fans called it the most human royal moment in years. Some said they hadn't cried at a royal event since Diana's funeral. Others said they'd never felt more connected to the man who would one day wear the crown. And of course there were critics to those who called it calculated emotional theatre, but even they couldn't deny the power of what they saw. Because what unfolded in that moment wasn't just about a baby, it was about legacy, about pain, about love that refuses to fade. It was grief in joy, one viewer tweeted, wrapped into one powerful televised heartbeat. And what Catherine said next didn't calm the moment, it deepened it. Because the name they had chosen wasn't just beautiful, it was a declaration. Catherine's revealed the name and its meaning. The world held its breath. The air seemed to still, cameras stopped flashing, voices hushed. For a moment it was just Catherine, Princess of Wales, standing quietly under the soft morning light, a newborn cradled against her chest in a blanket of fine ivory lace. Her face calm, or presence graceful, but in her eyes something powerful was waiting. She looked down at the baby girl in her arms, then without theatrics, without a script, she looked up at the world and said the words that would ripple through history. Her name is Isabella Diana Charlotte Windsor. And in that instant the internet exploded. 3 names, each soaked in meaning, each chosen with intention, not just for beauty, but for message. Isabella, a royal name not heard in the House of Windsor for generations, echoing the legacy of powerful queens. From centuries past, Isabella of Castillo, Isabella of France. Women who led, who influenced empires, who rewrote the rules they were given. It was elegant, timeless, unexpected, and it signaled something. This was not just a child born into privilege. This was a child born with purpose. Diana, the name that still carries a weight no other royal name can match, a name that evokes loss, love, tragedy, and a kind of emotional revolution. The name of a woman who shattered royal norms, loved too hard, and was taken far too soon. With one word, Catherine reached back into history and pulled Princess Diana forward into the present, into the bloodline, into a future that would never again erase her. The harlot, the name of the baby's older sister, yes, but also a name steeped in strength, a gentle nod to royal women who have carried titles and expectations for with quiet dignity. In placing it here again, Catherine linked her daughters in spirit, bound by name, bound by love, bound by legacy. Isabella, Diana, Charlotte. The name wasn't just a reveal, it was a statement. And the symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. Within minutes, social media was flooded. The world watched in real time as royal watchers, fans and historians reacted with gasps, tears, applause. Hashtags surged. Diana Returns trended within 7 minutes, memes, edits, tributes. Even longtime critics admitted it was powerful. Some debated the name order, some questioned the reuse of Charlotte, but most saw what it was, a carefully woven tribute to women who matter. Read a name with depth, with direction. This wasn't branding, this wasn't tradition for tradition's sake. This was Catherine telling a story and inviting the world into it. And she didn't do it from a golden balcony. She didn't hide behind a velvet curtain or recite from a page. She stood beside her husband, his eyes still red from tears, and spoke from a place of strength, empathy, and quiet control. It was intimate, it was graceful, it was deeply personal. And that name, Isabella Diana Charlotte Windsor, will be remembered not just as the latest addition to the royal tree, but as a symbol of healing, of memory reborn. Have a monarchy that dares to look back and still move forward. Because on that spring morning, Catherine didn't just reveal a name, she made history whisper again. Legacy of the name threads from the past. As the name settled into the air, its weight began to truly take shape. Diana. The second it was spoken, time stood still. Every person old enough to remember felt it in their chest. The name of the woman who had once transformed the monarchy from behind the camera lens. The name of the mother who never saw her son marry, never held his children. Now her name lived again, not just in memory, but in blood. It was more than attribute, it was a restoration. William had never forgotten his mother, but he had never named a child after her until now. And that decision, delayed, deliberate, said everything. This name was a promise, a bridge from the past into the future, a way of saying she's still here. Isabella meanwhile sent historians into a frenzy. Some traced it back to Queen Isabella of Castillo, others to lesser-known royal bloodlines buried deep in the annals of European nobility. But what mattered most was its sound, elegant, untroubled, untouched by scandal. It was new, it was ancient, and it was undeniably royal. Charlotte repeated now for a second daughter brought warmth and closeness. Some questioned the decision to echo a sibling's name, but insiders claimed it was Catherine's quiet way of linking her daughters together forever. Not in competition, but in strength. The full name told a story of legacy, pain, power, and love, and people felt it across the UK and beyond. Messages poured in. Thank you for bringing Diana back, a beautiful tribute, perfectly chosen for royalists. It was the ultimate nod to tradition for everyday families. It was simply human, a moment where names became memories and memories became meaning. In that name, Catherine and William hadn't just introduced a baby. They had welcomed a future one with roots in sorrow and eyes on something better. The royal family's response behind closed doors. Behind the cameras, past the carefully orchestrated public reveal, the palace was buzzing, but not with celebration. Within the walls of Buckingham Palace, the baby's name had sent quiet shock waves. There were no official smiles, no congratulatory footage, no balcony waves from senior royals, just a flurry of hushed conversations, exchanged glances, and carefully worded internal memos, because what Catherine had done, intentionally or not, was to old emotions and silent rivalries that had never fully healed. The inclusion of Diana changed everything for some senior royals, especially those closest to the Queen Consort. The choice struck a nerve. There were whispered concerns about what it signaled. Was it a subtle challenge to the Crown's current direction? A deliberate move to reclaim Diane, his legacy, inside an institution that had at one point tried to distance itself from it? One palace aide reportedly said it was beautiful, but it was not approved. Catherine had followed protocol on the surface, but made her own statement beneath it. The name hadn't gone through the usual pre-release process. There were no leaked briefings, no quiet nods from the king. The reveal was emotional, raw, and unfiltered, something the palace wasn't used to. And then there was William. His emotional reactions, seen by millions, had unsettled more than a few inside the front. Princes didn't cry. Future kings didn't break. But William had, and it had been captured from every angle. Some insiders praised him, others worried, because if the next King of England could weep in public, what did that mean for the image of strength the Crown had long relied on? Still, there were those who admired it. Staff at Kensington Palace reportedly stood in quiet applause after the announcement. Behind the scenes, Catherine was being described as a pillar, a strategist, a unifier with a beating heart, and William as a man finally allowing the world to see who he truly was, what the public had seen as a tender, emotional moment. The palace saw as a turning point. Public reaction and media frenzy. While the palace scrambled behind closed doors, the public was already celebrating and dissecting. The baby's name reveal had barely ended before news outlets went into overdrive. Front pages lit up across the UK. Headlines screamed emotion on a legacy. Photos of William wiping tears from his cheek became instant icons. The Daily Mail called it the moment the future king became human. The Guardian headline, Diana lives on through her granddaughter. Even American networks, often more cautious with royal coverage, praised the moment as authentic, heart-stopping, and unlike anything the firm has ever allowed. But it wasn't just the media. Social media erupted. Millions shared clips of the announcement. Edits of Diana and her new namesake trended for hours. Fans flooded royal forums with emotion. Even known skeptics of the monarchy said for a moment they felt something they hadn't in years: connection. But with praise also came division. Some critics questioned the timing, why now, why so suddenly. Others speculated whether the tears were spontaneous or carefully planned. Some tabloids accused the couple of weaponizing sentiment, while others celebrated them of finally modernizing the monarchy through real emotion. A quiet debate ignited: was this a soft revolution or a publicity move dressed in sincerity? And in the center of it all, two figures remained silent: Catherine and William. No follow-up post, no interview, no PR spin. Just one image of father or mother and their newborn daughter, wrapped in tradition, legacy, and something far more powerful: truth. What this means for William and Catherine's future roles. After the emotion faded and the media frenzy slowed, one question remained on everyone's mind: what happens now with the arrival of a fourth royal child? Prince William and Princess Catherine were no longer just heirs and working royals, they were now the symbolic center. Modern royal family, one that looked more relatable and more complex. Behind the scenes, aides had already begun restructuring their schedules. Additional staff were assigned to assist with the growing family. Discussions were underway about how public-facing their children should be moving forward. But the truth was, everything had already changed. The moment William cried, the image of the polished, emotionally distant future king cracked. In its place, the world saw something far more powerful. A father overwhelmed by love, history, and the weight of legacy, and Catherine standing tall, calm, composed. It sent a message of her own, one of leadership, one of intention. She had become more than just a royal mother. In that moment, she was a quiet force shaping how the monarchy would be seen for generations. This wasn't just a name reveal, said a former royal correspondent. It was a statement of who they are and what they are becoming. Internally, palace officials now viewed William and Catherine as the true faces of the monarchy's future. Where Charles reigned in continuity, William and Catherine now stood as the emotional bridge between past tradition and the public's craving for authenticity. And the baby Isabella Diana Charlotte symbolized that bridge perfectly. More than just a new child in the line of succession, she represented a reset. A fourth child may not shake the order of the throne, but she altered the public image of the family. They were no longer just a trio of heirs. They were a unit, a story of legacy, love, loss, and healing. Public expectations rose overnight. Would William now speak more openly? Would Catherine take on a stronger leadership role? Would their future engagements reflect this newfound emotional transparency? One thing was clear: the monarchy had turned the page, and William and Catherine weren't just reading it, they were writing the name's impact on succession and monarchy image. Traditionally, a royal baby's name makes headlines. But this time it did more than trend. It raised deeper questions about what kind of monarchy Britain is becoming. Though little Isabella Diana Charlotte would likely never sit on, she became an emblem of evolution, not a shift in power, but in perception or place in the line of succession. Currently fifth behind George, Charlotte, and Louise might seem symbolic, but symbols matter in the House of Windsor, and her very existence reshaped the narrative. The name Diana especially forced the institution to face what it had long tried to quietly manage: the ongoing legacy of a woman whose influence had never truly left. By naming their daughter after her, William and Catherine didn't just honor a mother, they made her part of the present and future. The monarchy for centuries has relied on formality, distance, and ritual to survive. But this moment, this emotional, deeply human name reveal challenged that foundation. It wasn't just tradition, it was modern memory. It was real. The global response reflected that. In Australia, Canada, and across Europe, opinion pieces described the moment as a rare glimpse into royal humanity. Analysts debated whether this signaled a permanent softening of the crown's tone. Younger generations responded with overwhelming positivity. Some said they felt for the first time like they saw themselves in the royal story. They didn't name a baby, one commentator wrote. They reintroduced Diana's spirit into the palace. Even inside the from quiet shifts began. Advisors started rethinking media strategies. Discussions emerged around future transparency. Catherine's growing influence within royal decision-making was no longer just soft power, it was becoming structural. and at the heart of it all was a name, a baby, father's tears, and a moment the monarchy couldn't control, but would never recover from. Catherine's strategic moment, leadership and soft power. The moment Catherine stepped forward to speak, the world saw a mother, but inside palace walls many saw something more, a strategist. Everything about the reveal felt simple on stage, personal for to those who understand how the monarchy moves. It was anything but accidental. Catherine didn't just name a baby. She delivered a moment of controlled vulnerability, one that allowed the public to see her husband's raised emotion, while she remained composed, poised, and unmistakably strong. And that wasn't coincidence. It was a message. For years she had been called the silent strength, the woman who supported without speaking too loudly. But this time she spoke, and when she did, the entire royal image shifted with her. Family first, she said in a brief post-release message, and always with love. It wasn't just about the baby. It was about reclaiming space in the royal narrative. Catherine had always played within the rules, but this time she gently rewrote them. She chose the name, she stood at the center, and she allowed William to break, knowing that his pain would humanize the crown far more than any speech ever could. From this moment solidified her position, not just as a royal consort, but as a powerful voice in how the monarchy moves forward. William's tears showed his heart. Catherine's strength showed her influence. Together they became something far more dangerous to outdated royal systems, a couple not afraid to lead with emotion. And that subtle shift made through grace, not rebellion, may be the most powerful movable. Because this wasn't a scandal, this wasn't a crisis. It was a calculated, compassionate rebranding of the royal image, and it worked. Looking ahead, questions raised and future speculations. The dust hadn't even settled. Before